Welcome to the interview. I'm speaking with Kumar David, who is many things actually, an electrical engineer, former dean of the University of Hong Kong,
From Hong Kong, yes.
In engineering, a leftist, and that's very rare on the program, and now a columnist as well. Kumar, I think the first question, I've always wanted to ask you this really, is that it's unfortunately very rare to find someone from your background, electrical engineering, writing as you do on politics, governance, and democracy. I mean, that transition should not be so stark, but very few have done it. Maybe just begin by telling how you began to start talking about and writing about, more importantly, these issues, given your background.
Yes. Well, my interest in politics and my involvement in politics predates my career as a scientist. As a scientist. Yeah. It started with the 1953 Hantlan when I was a schoolboy.
Yeah.
I joined the Samasmaja movement about then, and I've been a Marxist for longer than Marx because I started before he was born, and I have now outlived him in years, so he's lost. So I think partly it is that. The other reason is that at the time when I was a youth student in the universities, my faculty, for example, was extremely active politically. It was a very left faculty. You may know names like Vikramabahu, names like Ganeshan, Vijayaduru, we were all there. So I find it not at all unusual.
This was Pera or?
No, it was neither. It was the University of Ceylon, the true alma mater. Yes. So you see, I don't see why it should be a little unusual, because you do find a few scientists, even now, interested in politics. Professor Carlo, for example, and a few others. And Bahu is an engineer just like me. So,
I mean, was it your leftist leanings that, because I mean the reason I asked was, you know the context as well as I do. I mean, it's not easy to write. Being a columnist means you put yourself out there. You are a regular columnist. Your opinions are contested. I mean, you have an opinion, which is great. You are not afraid to put it out there.
Yes.
And given the context, I mean, one could argue that you would have been more secure or safe. I don't know whether you want to see it that way in a faculty doing engineering.
That is true.
Yeah.
But I have not made an either-or option.
But you had a sense of engagement, is it?
Yes, I had a sense of engagement, but it's not an either-or option.
Correct.
Because I've been a very active researcher in my field. I have 150 papers and 26 PhD students whom I have graduated with PhD. So I've been a very active scientist. So it has not been either-or. I've been able to do that with moderate success or whatever, and I have also been very active politically. I found that walking on two legs was possible. And I could find the time for both.
The left movement, crisis?
Pardon?
Crisis today?
Oh, more than a crisis. It's collapsed, I think. It's in a very...
Why, Kumar? Why?
There are both specific historical issues relating to Sri Lanka and a more broad international circumstances which have contributed to this. Insofar as Sri Lanka is concerned, I believe the 1964 onwards decision of the LSSP to enter into a populist government with the national bourgeoisie, as they described it then, led to the collapse of the movement because the movement lost its identity.
So co-option.
Co-option led to the loss of identity by the left movement, and therefore, why should there be a left movement? The question arose. SLP is doing the same thing. And you see that on the one side. Internationally, since the mid-1970s, has been the era, the epoch of the neoliberalism, of neoliberal economic, of the market. And across the world, the left movement, not only in Sri Lanka, all over the world, it has taken a step back. Until right now, until the second crisis of
2008,
the great crisis of capitalism is now showing that phase is coming to an end.
Well, I mean, I know you've talked about this, and I've been part of some of the email debates that I have been copied to and CC'd to, so it's been very interesting. But you know, I picked up an issue of Newsweek or Time recently where it was essentially saying that nothing much has changed since '08. Institutions have gone back to the modus operandi as what they were before. The change, the systemic change that many wanted to see or thought would be the result of the crisis of '08 hasn't occurred. So when you say that change, the neoliberalism phase, the market phase is over, there seems to be signs that it's not.
The system, as an economic system, has not changed yet. It has changed, but I'll come to that in a moment. It has not changed, it has changed yet. But the change that I was referring to, the changes in political perspective, in perception, which are giving leftism, because we started with the issue of what's happened to the left, which has given the left a new lease of life.
Okay.
Now, the clear change in the political sphere, in the political domain, that people are interested. Karl Marx is now, one of the hot sellers in Germany now.
Karl Marx
Capital.
is the new black.
It's back. It's back. Marx is back. I mean, they bury him every 10 years, and he comes back stronger than before. So the opportunity for the left movement to grow, and the growth of the left movement is on now. That's what I meant by the change. Coming back to what you said, it is true that the great crash of 2008 hadn't yet become a depression like 1933. But that there have been very important changes. To a very significant extent, capitalism today is a mix of market capitalism and state capitalism. The role of the state, not just the American state or the European state, but the global state, in intervening, propping up and supporting the system, has made present-day capitalism no longer the neoliberal capitalism of the Reagan-Thatcher era, but some of that, remnants of that capitalism, together with a new kind of state capitalism, which is, so there is a significant change to that extent. And let me go on. The 2008 crisis is not over yet. Rather, it is what I call a W-shaped recession.
Well, these are the
ups and the downs.
Right.
Even the Great Depression to 1929 to the war was in fact a W. It came down, it went up, and in the mid-30s it collapsed again and only recovered with the war. You remember. We are in an even more complex thing, where I call it not a W but a wobble. In that there will be several ups and downs before we come out of this. Right now, in 2010, markets are picking up a little. Things are going up. But nothing fundamental has changed. And it's a very, very precarious and very, very timid kind of recovery in which even markets and market analysts themselves are saying, we don't know what's going to happen. So I expect that there will be several ups and downs over the next 2 to 3 years before the final fallout from this is clear.